Welcome to this video on two kinds of activities, hidden grid and hidden drawing. After your students have become comfortable with getting into pairs, completing a simple discussion task, and then obeying your signal to return their attention to you, there are many activities that can be done in pairs. Pair activities give students practice with using English for real communication. In the activities we'll talk about in this video, one student gives and a second student follows oral directions to write, draw, or place something on a grid. These activities work best if the students cannot see what the other student is writing or drawing. In a crowded classroom, this can be difficult to achieve, so we'll look at some examples of simple barriers students can create to hide their work from each other. For a hidden grid activity, the teacher creates and photocopies small cards with simple pictures or slightly vague shapes on them, one set for each student. It's good to keep each set together with a paper clip and put them in an envelope. At the end of the activity, students can replace the paper clips and return their sets to the envelopes so that the cards can be easily used again. Hidden grid activities are simpler if the pictures are of clearly identifiable objects, a flower, a face, a chair, and more challenging if the pictures are of somewhat vague shapes. In the latter case, the descriptions need to be creative and more dialogue between the two students is likely. It looks a little bit like a leaf. Do you mean the one that looks a little bit like a cloud? For a quite simple version, cut pieces of colored paper into geometric shapes. In a multi-level class, you could have pairs choose whether they want to use the easier or the more challenging set of cards. The teacher shows a 9 or perhaps 12 square grid drawn on the chalkboard or a large piece of paper and teaches the words row and column, two words that are very useful vocabulary for anyone who uses a computer. Students draw a grid on their own paper. The teacher distributes two identical sets of cards to each pair. Student A places one of the pictures on A's grid and then gives student B oral directions for doing the same thing. For example, place the picture of a tree in the top row left column. Student A continues giving directions until all the squares on the grid are filled. Then the two students show each other their completed work, hoping that their grids match. The students collect their cards and repeat the activity, this time with student B giving the directions. Because students need to hide their work from each other, you may need to have them create a barrier. Some simple ways to do this are to put two file folders together with a paper clip or staple, or two portfolios, or perhaps best of all, two pieces of cardboard from empty cereal boxes. For hidden drawings, using the same cards or other sets created for this purpose, students can do dictated drawings. Student A chooses a card and tries to give student B a very accurate description of the drawing so that student B can create the same picture. For example, it is a flower that looks like a daisy. The center is a circle, and there are 8 petals around the circle. The stem is straight and has 2 leaves. The leaf on the left is lower than the leaf on the right. Again, students can use a barricade to hide their work from their partner. For advanced students, the pictures can be more difficult to describe, such as line drawings of facial expressions. Like many pair activities, these activities also work well in small groups of 4 to 6 students.